My phone buzzed just as my daughter tied the final blue ribbon around the Father's Day gift. "Mom," 8-year-old Lily said proudly, holding up the handmade card. "Granddad is going to cry when he sees this." I laughed softly. "I hope they're happy tears." The kitchen smelled of freshly baked Victoria sponge. My husband, James, was packing the car while our 5-year-old son, Noah, insisted on carrying a gift bag almost bigger than he was. For the first time in months, I was genuinely looking forward to seeing my dad. Since Mum passed away 7 years earlier, Father's Day had become incredibly important to him. It was one of the few occasions when the entire Walker family came together under one roof. Or at least, it used to be. My phone vibrated again. The message was from my older brother, Ryan. "Don't bring your family on Father's Day. We're sick of you. Dad doesn't want you here anymore." For several seconds, I couldn't breathe. I read the message again, then again. Surely I had misunderstood. James walked into the kitchen, noticed my expression, and immediately frowned. "Emma," I silently handed him my phone. As he read the message, the warmth disappeared from his face. "What the hell is this?" I don't know." "You don't believe your dad actually said this, do you?" I wanted to answer immediately. Instead, I hesitated. Because over the past few years, Ryan had become the person who controlled almost everything in Dad's life. He organized family dinners. He answered Dad's phone. He booked appointments. He even told relatives when they were allowed to visit. At first, everyone thought he was simply helping an elderly father, including me. Now I wasn't so sure. James looked me straight in the eyes. "Emma, your father has never once made your children feel unwanted." "I know. So why would he suddenly ban them from Father's Day?" He was right. Dad adored Lily and Noah. Every Sunday afternoon, he would sit on the living room floor building Lego castles with Noah while Lily read him stories she'd written at school. Those children were his world. There was no chance, absolutely no chance, that he would tell them to stay away. I typed a reply. "Did Dad ask you to send this?" Ryan answered almost instantly. "Stop questioning me. I've had enough of cleaning up after your drama. Stay home." My drama, I stared at those words. The only drama I could remember was Christmas. Ryan had spent the entire afternoon making sarcastic remarks about James' teaching job. "Teachers have it easy. Must be nice having all those holidays. I suppose someone has to educate children." Everyone laughed awkwardly. Dad didn't. Neither did I. Ryan hated that. He hated whenever someone refused to laugh at his jokes. Before I could think any further, my phone rang. The screen displayed one name. Dad. I answered immediately. "Happy Father's Day, Dad." There was a brief silence. "Emma, where are you?" "Still at home." "Home?" He sounded genuinely confused. "I thought you'd be leaving by now." I swallowed. "Ryan told us not to come." Another silence. Then Dad spoke so firmly that it almost startled me. "I did no such thing. I thought maybe." "No." His voice was calm but unmistakably angry. "I've been waiting all morning for you and the children." I closed my eyes. I had known it. Ryan had lied. "Dad, bring your family." "But Ryan clearly doesn't. I don't care what Ryan wants." Those words stopped me cold, because my father rarely raised his voice, especially not about Ryan. Then he quietly added, "Emma, there's something I need everyone to hear today." The call ended. James looked at me. "Well, we're going." He smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." The drive from Leeds to Manchester normally took just over an hour. That day, every mile felt heavier than the last. Rain streaked across the windscreen while Lily and Noah happily argued over who would give Granddad his present first. Neither of them had any idea their uncle had tried to keep them away. James reached over and gently squeezed my hand. "If anything feels wrong, we leave." He nodded. "We leave together." It was one of the many reasons I'd fallen in love with him. He never tried to fight my battles. He simply stood beside me while I fought them myself. As we turned into my father's street, I noticed cars parked almost everywhere. My Aunt Margaret, my cousins, Dad's neighbors, even family friends. "This is a bigger gathering than usual," James murmured. I nodded. "It certainly is." Ryan's BMW was already on the driveway. The moment he saw us getting out of the car, his smile disappeared. "What are you doing here?" His voice was low enough that the children couldn't hear. "I told you not to come. I spoke to Dad." For the briefest moment, panic flashed across his face. "You what?" "He invited us." Ryan forced a laugh. "He's confused." Before I could answer, the front door opened. Dad stepped outside. At 72, he'd slowed down over the years, but today, he stood taller than I had seen him stand in a very long time. He walked straight past Ryan, without even looking at him. Instead, he bent down and hugged Lily first. Then Noah. Then James. Finally, he wrapped his arms around me. "I'm so glad you're here." My eyes filled with tears. "I nearly stayed home." Dad stepped back and looked at Ryan. "I thought I made myself perfectly clear." Ryan's smile vanished. "Dad, I was only trying to keep the peace." "No," Dad's voice echoed across the driveway. "You were trying to decide who belongs in my family." Every relative arriving at that moment froze. No one spoke. No one moved. Ryan looked around, hoping someone would rescue him. Nobody did, for the first time in years. My brother had no control over the room, and judging by the determined look in Dad's eyes, this Father's Day was about to expose far more than one cruel text message. The silence on the driveway lingered for several uncomfortable seconds. Ryan forced another smile, but it looked strained now. "Dad, you're embarrassing everyone," he said, glancing at our relatives as if they would automatically agree with him. "No," Dad replied. "The only person embarrassing himself today is you." No one argued. Not Aunt Margaret, not my cousins, not even Claire, Ryan's wife, who usually defended him no matter what he'd done. Dad opened the front door and smiled warmly at Lily and Noah. "Come on, you two. I think Granddad deserves a proper Father's Day hug." The children ran inside, their laughter cutting through the tension like sunlight after rain. For a moment, I wished the day could simply return to normal. But deep down, I knew it never would. Inside the house, everything looked exactly as Mum had left it. The framed family photographs still covered the hallway. Her favorite porcelain vase stood on the fireplace. Even the scent of lavender polish instantly reminded me of childhood Sundays when she insisted the whole family eat together. Dad noticed me staring. I couldn't bring myself to change much. "You don't have to," I said softly. "It still feels like home." His eyes watered slightly before he smiled. "I'm glad." Across the room, Ryan was already entertaining relatives with loud jokes, acting as though nothing had happened outside. He was good at that, very good. He could insult someone in private and charm an entire room 5 minutes later. It was a talent he'd spent years perfecting. James leaned towards me. "Watch him." "I am." "He's nervous." I looked again. Ryan was smiling, but he kept checking where Dad was, almost as though he was afraid Dad might say something unexpected. An hour later, everyone gathered around the dining table. The table was covered with roast beef, Yorkshire puddings, roasted potatoes, and Mum's old silver serving dishes that Dad only used on special occasions. Conversation slowly returned. The grandchildren laughed. My cousins shared stories from work. For a few minutes, it almost felt like every Father's Day we'd ever celebrated. Then my cousin Ben quietly sat beside me. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." He lowered his voice. "When was the last time you actually spoke to your dad without Ryan being involved?" I frowned. "I don't know." Ben nodded slowly. "I thought so." "What do you mean?" He glanced around before answering. "Every time I phoned your dad during the last 2 years," Ryan answered. So your dad later told me he never knew I'd called." A chill ran down my spine. Ben continued. "I thought he was forgetting things. But now," he looked towards Ryan, "I'm not so sure." After lunch, the children ran into the garden to play football. Dad watched them through the kitchen window with a gentle smile. "They've grown so quickly. They adore you. I adore them even more," he sighed heavily. "Emma," there was something different about his voice, something tired. "I need to apologize." "For what?" "For letting this go on for so long." I looked at him in confusion. "What do you mean?" He rested both hands on the kitchen counter. "After your mum died, I wasn't coping." I nodded quietly. "I know. I let Ryan help with everything." He paused. "My bank, my post, my appointments, my phone. I trusted him completely." I felt my stomach tighten, and little by little, he began making decisions for me. I stared at him. He told people I was busy when I wasn't. He canceled visits. He answered messages without telling me. He even refused invitations on my behalf. My heart started pounding. "Dad, I only discovered it a few weeks ago." "How?" "A neighbor asked why I'd stopped visiting his wife after her surgery." Dad shook his head sadly. "I had no idea she'd even been ill." Someone had hidden the message from him. I already knew who. Back in the dining room, Ryan stood and tapped his glass with a spoon. "I'd just like to say what an honor it's been helping Dad over these past few years." Several relatives smiled politely. Ryan continued. "I know caring for an elderly parent isn't always easy, but family comes first." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He was painting himself as the devoted son, the hero. Then Dad slowly stood up. "Actually," the room fell silent. "I'd like to say something too." Ryan smiled confidently. "Of course, Dad." Dad looked around the room, making eye contact with every single person. I've spent the last 6 weeks reviewing my finances, my correspondence, and my legal documents. Ryan's smile faded. I discovered something deeply upsetting. Nobody moved. I discovered that decisions had been made in my name without my permission. The whispers began immediately. Ryan laughed nervously. Dad, you're confused. No, Dad's voice remained calm. For the first time in years, I'm absolutely certain. He reached into a folder lying beside his chair. I also discovered letters that never reached me. My breath caught. What letters? Aunt Margaret asked. Birthday cards, invitations, medical appointments, and messages from Emma. I froze. What? Dad looked directly at me. You sent me flowers on the anniversary of your mum's death. Tears filled my eyes. Every year, I know. I never thanked you because, he swallowed hard, I never received them. The entire room turned towards Ryan. His face had turned ghostly white. Dad held up several unopened envelopes. They were all found in a locked drawer. Ryan suddenly stood. I can explain. Dad met his eyes. I think you've done enough explaining for one lifetime. For the first time since we arrived, my brother looked genuinely frightened. And somehow, I had the feeling the worst truth hadn't even come out yet.